The music dulled behind the glass walls. Champagne flutes clinked. Laughter scattered like broken porcelain. And there she was, my fiancée, her dress a shade too sharp against the warm lights, sliding next to me with the smile she used when she wanted to look harmless. "I've decided," she said. Her voice carried just enough sweetness to disguise the blade. "We need a prenuptial agreement. Everything stays separate. No exceptions." The room slowed. I caught the reflection of her mother's approving nod in the window. I caught the tiny twitch of my best man's eyebrow. My grin came easily, automatic, perfect timing. Inside, something colder than surprise spread across my chest. Not anger, not even hurt, just calculation. I raised my glass and let the bubbles touch my lips. "Of course," I said, and in that single breath, the party turned into a chessboard. Her laughter threaded through the room like a quiet taunt. A prenup on the eve of vows? After a year of whispered promises? After speeches about partnership? I watched her from across the bar, noting the deliberate glances she exchanged with her parents. The way her father's hand rested on the envelope she'd slipped into her clutch. It wasn't just caution, it was a move. I knew her history. 3 quiet relationships, each ending with a payout. Her last fiancé left with a shell company drained dry. And yet I had ignored the pattern. Or maybe I had been waiting for this moment. I'm not a romantic. I'm a lawyer. A real estate attorney who built a firm from nothing, who knows the smell of leverage before it enters the room. This wasn't a request. It was a declaration of war. I excused myself with a smile and stepped into the hallway. The cold air steadied me, sharpened the edges of my thoughts. I called my partner at the firm. Midnight or not, he answered. "Activate the amendment," I said. The papers had been ready for months. An agreement that looked like protection for her, but concealed my quiet advantage. We drafted it weeks ago, buried in harmless language. A clause that tied all marital property to a holding company. A clause that left every future acquisition, hers or mine, under my control. I had planned to present it after the honeymoon, but tonight was better. I returned to the party with a smile no one questioned. I watched her laugh, toast, twirl under the lights. Inside, the machine turned. The law is slow for most, not for me. By the time dessert arrived, my paralegal had emailed the final draft to my phone. I imagined her signature, neat and eager, sealing her own trap. The thought tasted better than the wine. At midnight, I asked her to step outside. The rooftop overlooked the city, a quiet world above the noise. I handed her the tablet. "Here's the draft," I said. "My attorney fast-tracked it. We can sign tonight if you'd like." Her eyes lit, relief disguised as power. She scanned the document, fingers tracing the clauses. "Efficient," she murmured. "I knew you'd understand." She signed. No hesitation. I watched the inked electronic flourish appear, watched her lock herself inside my architecture. When she looked up expecting praise, I only nodded. Inside, a quiet click of victory echoed. We stood against the railing, city lights bleeding gold across her face. I let the silence stretch until it tightened around her. "You know," I said softly, "I almost asked for a prenup myself." Her smile faltered. "Almost? I thought it might scare you away." I paused. But then I realized, some protections don't need fear, just timing. Her brow furrowed. "What does that mean?" I met her eyes, steady and calm. "It means every property, every future asset, every joint acquisition, including anything you earn, flows through a company I created years ago. A company you just signed into my control." She blinked. The color drained with each heartbeat. It's perfectly legal. Read Clause 16. She grabbed the tablet, scrolling with frantic fingers. Her breath hitched as she found the sentence. The one she thought was harmless. I leaned closer, voice barely above a whisper. "You wanted separation. Now you have it. Total. Permanent." The city hummed below us. She said nothing. Her silence tasted like surrender. I left her on the rooftop, the contract glowing on the screen between us. Inside, the party continued. Music, laughter, champagne spilling like nothing had shifted. But the board had cleared. The game was finished. Tomorrow, we will stand before witnesses and exchange vows wrapped in false warmth. She will smile back, knowing the truth. I own the ground beneath her feet. I own the walls around her future. And when she finally realizes the cost of her timing, I will already be gone. Untouched, unbound. Perfect timing.